Hey guys, had a few things to say this morning. We'll let some people get in here. This is a video done originally live. If you're watching, you're probably watching the recorded side if I decide to leave it up. It's early Sunday morning, so I imagine a lot of people will be asleep. Stu Manchu, what's up? Next Gen. Hey, check out my hat, Next Gen. Look at that. Yukon, I was just reading on Facebook in the Rate Per Mile Masters the debate over personal conveyance. And that's kind of what has prompted this last minute live video. You guys like my Swift pen? Check it out. Say hey to everybody, and I'll get to the point here. Pale Rider, Big Yeti, what's up? Hey, nice trailer, Big Yeti. Everybody go to Big Yeti's channel, man. He just bought one of them trailers that have the stainless steel nose and tail. Nice trailer. Jeffrey Like, TK, John McCulloch, sorry. Excuse me. Lost Cause, Dan Smith, Yukon, Walter, Next Gen, Larry Fisher, nice pen, thank you. Burn that pen. Oh no! Swift just hit my truck. Yeah, I got a bunch of pens from Gats. Hey Bill McCarthy, what's up? Alright, so let's go over topic number one. Gary Compton did a video. He got one of those orange books, and what it is, it's a Snyder recruiting tool that you see at the truck stops. And he was talking about the stats and everything. He made a good video. I think I just broke this pen. I think I just cracked it. Yep, I just cracked it. Crack. Swift on crack. All right, so. And it was interesting that Schneider was using the whole don't work for a company that can't be or won't be compliant on the ELD. Now, Schneider brought up a good point. Schneider's been doing this since 2010 on the ELD, and I went to ELD about 2010 as well for a different company. And there was a lot of growing pains. There's a lot of gray areas that you had to like kind of refresh yourself with. There was a lot of shippers and receivers that were not happy with what we had done. And they were, Transland lost a lot of customers. And TK, I gotta stop reading the comments so I can stay on point. The Schneider using the fear-mongering thing, that is a normal tactic now with any company. Like the other day, or yesterday, I was listening to satellite radio, and there's this ad. TK, you've probably heard it too. If you listen to Howard Stern show, there was an advertisement that came on, and it was this company that you pay them so much a month, and they'll make sure that no one can steal the title of your house. And now, these companies exist, like security companies, credit watch companies, all these companies exist. What do? They use fear. They use fear to sell you their product. Oh, can you imagine if you lose the equity or you lose the title of your house? Can you believe that? Is that really a common problem? Exactly, Yukon. How does that work? And what they're saying is, one of the credit agencies got hacked, and now they can get into your stuff and get your house. It's like we're already scared of losing our belongings. We're already scared of people stealing our cars. We're already scared of people breaking into our homes. And security investments are a huge moneymaker. It's a huge industry. But now I have to worry about someone stealing your home? If you're a renter, do you sit there like, oh man, I hope my landlord's got that service that makes sure that my house doesn't get stolen? Trucking is no different from any other industry, and they're going to use fear and anger, not anger, but fear mongering just to kind of get things sold, you know? John Cater says ELDs should be a choice, not shoved down everyone's throat. I agree, John. I agree 100%. Okay? But the problem is that for years, we've had the same rules. We've had the same regulations. And the post that I was talking about on the Rate Per Mile Masters page on Facebook is proof that no one knows the regulations. Some DOT officers don't know the true regulations. There's huge gray areas, okay? So, while fighting the ELD mandate, people should have been educating themselves on how the hours of service work. That's why Schneider has all these rules. Like, we can't do personal conveyance unless we, don't have a trailer. A lot of companies give you off-duty driving time, but they have these strict rules because they don't want those gray areas to come up and bite them in the butt. And I'll get to your comments here in a second, guys. That's number one. Number two, do yourself a favor, okay? Go on YouTube, after this video, of course. Find all the old footage of trucking stuff that you can. Like, I'm talking like 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, early 80s. Find all of that. There are PSAs out there. There are documentaries out there. There's all kinds of interesting stuff. And you know what? They all have the same theme, okay? What were we griping about in the 50s, in the 60s, and in the 70s, and in the 80s, and the 90s? We were griping about regulation. We were griping about four-wheelers. They're griping about fuel tax, cost of living expenses, cost of business expenses. The roads. They were griping about, excuse me, guys. They're griping about the same things that we are today. What is the biggest difference? Number one, there's a lot more people now. Let me read this comment. John, but here there is a problem. This industry is regulated commercial business. Therefore, you're not free to do what you please. Just like owning a house, the laws stop you from doing things on land. That's true. And here's the thing. That Rate Per Miles post that UConn was trolling proves that there's a big, huge amount of us that don't understand the regulations. We are not free. I don't know where this illusion of freedom comes from. The freedom of the open road, maybe. The freedom of being the independent truck driver. That's a bunch of crap. We have no freedom out here. No freedom whatsoever. I couldn't go home last night because regulations stated that I was not going to make my destination in time. That wasn't the electronic logging, that was the regulation. Well, let's talk about the other elephant in the room. Let's talk about driver shortage. Okay? There was a time where trucking jobs were being added every day. The big mega carriers were getting bigger. Why were they getting bigger? Because they were preparing for the ELD mandate. ELD mandate is going to work better for the companies that can drop and hook. And at one point, we had enough drivers. Okay, capacity went the opposite direction. Everybody was struggling to find loads. There you go. We have enough trucks. We have enough drivers. The problem that the industry faces, okay, we do not have a driver shortage problem. We have a driver retention problem. Why is that? Yes, people go, oh, it's a hard life. It's hard being out here. It's a lifestyle, not a job. Yada yada yada. Okay, what about the high turnover rate in restaurants? What about the high turnover rate in the welding field? I was a welder. I know. I just broke my pen some more. I know plenty of. Here, I'll just break it completely. There, it's broken. So. Do you sit there and tell the restaurant worker, well, it's a lifestyle, not a job? No, because it's a crappy place to work. If people, typical Swift pen, didn't last long. If the big company, well, not necessarily the big companies, big companies are only 5%. They're only a small part of the trucking industry. And there is not a driver shortage problem. There's a driver retention. Why? See, here's the thing. If we're losing 100,000 drivers a year, that creates the shortage. That creates the shortage. That's not the shortage. Do you get what I'm saying? That is, something is wrong with our industry that creates that high turnover rate. I mean, think about the best paying jobs out there. Do they have a high turnover? No. Does Walmart have a high turnover on their trucking jobs? No. Why is that? Did Roadway and Yellow and all the big Teamster companies, did they have a huge turnover rate? No. Why? Because they pay their drivers. And that's one of the reasons to become an owner-operator, so you don't have to deal with that kind of mess. You don't have to deal with these companies that like this, that pay 25 cents a mile. So, Stretchnut says in 10 years most drivers will be immigrants. That is true. Why is that? Because you go to major cities like Houston, Phoenix, Los Angeles, San Diego, a lot of the service industry is by immigrants. And because the turnover rate in those jobs is so bad because it's such a crappy thing to work, these immigrants are just grateful to have whatever they can get. So, hey, we're back, guys. Sorry about that. We're back. So, all right. So let's go to these comments here. All right. All right. Yukon says he has a four-legged home security guard named Olaf. He likes warm hugs. I bet he does. Dan says, my wife is listening to you talk, and then she just said, oh yeah, you got a letter from Equifax. They want me to sign up for credit monitoring. John Cater says, abolish the 14-hour rule. That would help us greatly. Already read Jeffrey's comment on that. Big Eddie says, nothing ever changes. Government wants to keep us under their thumb, and the companies pay for it to happen so they can control the freight. I agree and I disagree at the same time with that, Big Eddie. The mega carriers know they got the upper hand when it comes to the regulations and ELD regulations because they have all the drop trailers. However, they only account for 5% of the industry. So, while that is a large number on a huge scale, the e-log, it's like, I don't want to really get into that. It's like contracts are lost all the time due to service. You know, like Schneider just lost a big contract in Springfield because of poor service that they were getting. And everybody's always looking for the bottom dollar. Look at the brokers. You know, they're going to go with who will go the bottom dollar. But in reality, when the drivers figure out that they're the ones in control, things will change. TK loves ELDs. John Cater, true, my issue is being regulated to death and told what to do by people who have no idea about the job. I agree with that, John. However, that's the reality of the situation. The people that control whatever company you're driving for, they're the ones that, you know, drove a truck in the 50s and built the company up, or they don't drive a truck at all. And so that's common. People regulate every industry without knowing how to do the actual job. That's the disconnect. You know, we're all peasants, and it's the rich people, it's the powerful people that make all the regulations. They're not peasants. You never own a house if you don't pay the property tax. They take the house. We are not free in this country. We just have controlled freedoms, says Jeffrey Like. That is correct. Yukon says the global elite have a base on the moon. They're up there pulling the strings. Yukon is awesome. Stu Manchu, 125% turnover. You would be correct. Snorler, can I hire you to weld something for me? Yeah, if you got the equipment, Jeffrey. I'm not using crazy glue on a Swift pen. Next Gen blames the man bun and MTV. Yukon says reptilians are controlling us. Large part of the turnover rate, says Kraken Wise, is moving from one company to another. True turnover, those leaving the industry, is not near 100%. That's true. However, in my class, CDL class, guess who's the only one driving? Me. Out of all the trainees I've trained at Transland, guess how many are driving still? 2. Training is another big issue. If these drivers were trained right, a lot more of them would stay. But there's a mental capacity of being out here, and not everybody has it. And there's a lot of people that are entering the industry that should not be here. I watched a video last night about a particular driver, that obviously had no clue how to back. Like, I'm talking like couldn't even do a straight back. And she ended up smashing into this dude's truck. I had that incident there in Morris where this guy he literally said it was his first day. And it's like, how do you even have a CDL? Because he could not do. If you guys know the place in Morris, Illinois, you know the place I'm talking about. That's the easiest place to back into a hole that you can get. And he could not do it. And the problem is a lot of these, there's a lot of things that came naturally to me because I was second generation. I knew a lot of truck drivers. My dad was a truck driver. And a lot of these people don't have that. A lot of these people go in the industry and they've never even seen the inside of a big rig before. So they're absolutely clueless. So it takes a certain mental capacity to handle the CDL training if they're being trained properly. And we got all these regulations on ourselves, and there are regulations for the schools, but it seems like there's not strict enough regulations or not strict enough like guidelines to get your CDL. Because these big companies, that's where the big companies are lobbying, are controlling the government, is, they're getting these kickbacks for trying to get as many people with CDLs as possible. So, according to Max Fuller at U.S. Express, ELDs will stop solo drivers from exceeding their hours and logging over 450 to 500 miles a day. What a joke. John Cater, that's an example of someone who obviously doesn't know anything about the industry other than what gives him his bottom line. If you are in a governed 65 mile per hour truck, you can get as high as 680 miles. I've done it. Now, granted, things have got to work perfect. You got to keep the left door closed. You got to pick fuel stops and rest stops that are easy on and easy off. But 600 miles a day in a governed electronic logging device vehicle is possible. And unfortunately, in order to make money, you're going to have to run 600 miles a day if you're being paid mileage. These guys that used to run that on paper, those are the ones that are going to be in trouble, because if they're used to making 700-800 miles a day mileage pay, they're going to be hurting. Big Eddie says because they can convince them to work for less. Exactly. John in Green Bay said 300 hands left immediately when they came out with the CMS requirement. Miss Pearl's giving hugs again. How you going? How's it going, Miss Pearl? They'll work for 20 cents a mile. Yeah, that's a sad state, but yeah. Turnover at Swift is mostly they're looking for the next step or being fired, but a large part of their turnover is driver moving to higher paying jobs, says Krakenwise. They're still driving, just not for Swift. So pay rate has never kept up. I started at 21 cents a mile in 1972, says Keith. Yeah, that's cost of living thing. That's the thing. Even as an owner operator, and that was something else that was being complained about in these old trucking videos, was driver pay and wage. And one of them was showing like how much this load paid. It was very comparable to today's rates. So even on the owner operator side, the rates have not changed. The only problem is the expenses have changed. Food's more expensive, tolls are more expensive, truck repairs are more expensive, fuel is more expensive, and the wages haven't reflected that. Jay Cannell did a good video talking about how we're the working poverty. And hey Frank, what's up? Krakenwise, you're about to see a change in spot market freight in 2018. I'm not sure of the impact, but I imagine something will change, hopefully for the better. Yukon says federal court just ruled a carrier cannot charge an owner-operator ELD fees. That's interesting to me, Yukon, because while we don't get charged here at the Big Orange, Landstar we did. Landstar we were paying so much a month for the Qualcomm. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Hell, if there's a big action lawsuit or something, I might be getting some money back. Something like that could really hurt Landstar if they weren't supposed to be charging for the ELDs and they got to pay all that money back. That's going to be huge. So I need to keep an eye on that. Fidel, aliens would love fruit oatmeal. Jamie, what's up? This all sounds intimidating for people thinking about driving. Jamie, here's the thing, man. And you can talk to me personally. Jamie's a good friend of mine. Jamie, you're in the military. You know all about regulations. You know all about rules, okay? There's a lot of variance factors out here that make the rules somewhat hard, and you've dealt with that as well. A lot of military and ex-military take the trucking pretty naturally because it's just, we all have to follow rules, we all have to follow regulations. Don't let that's part of my video. Don't let fear-mongering get to you. Don't let the whole the sky is falling mentality affect you. If you work for a company that knows how to run the industry, then you'll be okay. And our industry is no different from any other, transportation industry. Bus drivers, pilots. Look how regulated the airline industry is. Look how regulated, everything is. Everything's regulated. So don't let don't let it sounds intimidating, but don't let it steer you from what you want to do, because in the end, it's the smart, adaptable people that will survive out here, and that's what it is. It's a growing process, and a little bit of passion's got to be there too. So, Jamie, this is the truth, real talk, no BS. Take for face value and understand that what you're thinking of getting yourself into. Jamie kind of knows. Jamie and I go way back. His old band and my old band, we used to play gigs all the time. We've worked together. We were both cooks at the nursing home I told you guys about last night. But yeah, Jamie, I'll show you how to survive out here. I'll tell you the pitfalls to avoid and the things to look out for. But this industry, this world is no different than the rest of the world. There's a lot of crap, a lot of BS, but if you're smart and you do it right, you do okay. So, people get careless and tired, or maybe just cocky and make mistakes, says Big Yeti. Stretch says, I drove 764 miles in a 70-mile-per-hour truck with 35 minutes left on my 11-hour clock. That's booking it, Stretch. Hey, Johnny, what's up? Daniel, how are you, sir? Daniel's another military guy that's entered the trucking world. Kraken-wise, I imagine this will create more transparency in spot market freight rates, but in 2018, there'll be futures market for trucking freight. It'll be traded like a commodity. Keith James says, Daniel, enjoy your videos. Thanks. James Best, off topic, need help. Didn't grab ticket entering Kansas on 39. What do I do now? Go to Kansas Turnpike Authority, and they'll have information on what you do if you missed a ticket. When you get to the next toll booth, they're going to ask you. You're going to have to pay out the butt, man. You're going to have to pay the full amount. So you're going to be paying a little bit of money there, James. Kraken-wise, companies can use it to hedge on potential future rate hikes. They will be using spot market rates for daily contract settlement. That makes sense. Stretch Nuts confirm what I said. Number one, don't sign a lease with a company truck. Daniel says, well, Snorlax, I got to go get a Werner recruiter here trying to recruit soldiers, and he's not recruiting me. Jeffrey Like says, awesome, still on now. I have real TV to watch. I like this reality channel. Big Rich says he's late. So does Ron. So, that's the thing. This is a tough industry, just like anything else. And there was another YouTuber that put it best. The more successful you are at trucking, the more freedoms that you will have. In the situation I'm in, I pick where I go, I pick when I go, I pick how I go. And that's huge. Just like Jeffrey Like, he's got his own authority. If it doesn't pay, he doesn't roll. If it pays enough, he could, he adjusts his business according to the regulations, according to the freedoms that we may or may not have. Regulations are keeping him from growing his trucking company as big as he wants to at this point. So, Big Rich says that's exactly why I'm leaving the company gig. Right. Now you got to put your time as a company guy. But, Chad Boblin, I don't think he did any time as a company driver. And he's doing very well for himself. When the man is talking, people just keep knocking. Yeah, that was my Twitter. I forgot to turn the sound off on my phone. Sorry, guys. But don't let the fear mongering get to you. And it's clear that a lot of people don't understand the regulations, and we're just using paper adjustments to keep from learning the regulations. So you need to educate yourselves. And yes, there is a lot of gray areas. Why is there a lot of gray area? Because every trucking job is different. Dry vans deal with different stuff than reefers. Reefers deal with different stuff than flatbeds, car haulers, heavy haul, livestock, dump trucks, day cabs, box trucks. There's a million different jobs out there, and they're trying to write regulations to cover all of them, and it doesn't quite work. Like there's a discussion about safe harbor, safe haven, and you know, there's everybody's all of a sudden everybody's just like, you know, like Gary Compton said, everybody's had their head in the sand. You know, when every time you fudged on paper, that was your head in the sand. Every time you fudged on paper, you did not realize what the shipper was doing. Big Rich says, how much of his success is due to the fact that he has a group as large as Rate Per Mile Masters? I mean, he's meeting with big brokers and claiming to represent us as one man with the goal of self-advancement. That is true. I met Chad at GATS, and he seemed like an alright guy, but I kind of have the same vibe as you get with some of these other guys that have corporate sponsors. Let's talk about that for a second. All these YouTubers that have corporate sponsors. The problem with corporate sponsorship in any industry, whether it be NASCAR, football, any of those, okay, is that, and a lot of these companies don't realize that, but let's look at the Travel Local thing, for example, okay? Let's look at Trucker's Coach real quick. And I'm not going to pick on him. I'm just going to state facts of what his videos did. At one point, he went against Travel Loco. Okay? And then he went to Travel Loco. Okay? Cool. He learned, got his numbers up, and then what did he do? He started to recruit for Travel Loco. He promoted Travel Loco. Travel Loco versus Landstar. Travel Loco versus Crete, Travel Loco versus Snyder, Travel Loco versus all these different companies. How great was Travel Loco, right? And then what came afterwards, fellas? What came afterwards? All of a sudden, Travel Loco had all these issues. And he put a video out about that. That's the problem with recruiting. You can't sit there and say that your company is great or your product is great, and then turn around and say you're against it. Same thing with Little Dog, talk about DPF regeneration. At one point, we were all about DPF regeneration, and then all of a sudden, well, things have gotten sketchy. So, there's a disconnect there. So when it comes to the sponsorships, how can you believe, like, you know, what is everybody's biggest criticism of Kevin Rutherford? You know, he talks about those air tabs. Why? Because he gets endorsements from them, or, you know, he gets money from them. You know, Lil Dog admitted in his video that he gets $350 a month from DPF regeneration. Well, you know what? You pay me enough, I'll tell you all about the Swift pen. You know? See, that's the thing. You can't take these sponsorships seriously. And all the YouTubers that are wanting sponsorships, that's cool. But realize that you're walking a double-edged sword there. Because if you're promoting a product that's crap, you're going to look bad. If you're promoting a product and then stop promoting the product, it's going to look bad. And you get, and people hate that. Like I said this to Pale Rider the other day. What if Dale Earnhardt Jr., if he gets paid enough, guess what? He's going to endorse Ford, you know? And, you know, and he's a big Chevy guy, but, you know, you get enough money. Jamie, take it easy, man. You can get my number and call me anytime you want, dude. So I'll make sure you get in this industry the right way. So, not to make, you know, Jeffrey says, I will only promote a product I use and works well for the trucking business. Right. And that's good and all. And people would trust your judgment because, like, you've never gone back and said that Snyder was horrible, even though you worked there for 10 years. You know, you still promote Snyder in a way. Anthony, what's up? Uh-oh, you're late. Yep, sure are. I can't scroll through the comments anymore, guys. Looks like I might have to get my tablet out. So I can read the comments. You gotta love YouTube. Trucking Pro works. Right. But see, Jeffrey, I promote Trucking Pro and I'm not paid for it. Why? Because it's an excellent product. They've never done me wrong. There I am. See if I can read the comments now. Let's turn that down. There we go. Now I can read the comments. Big Rich says, how reliable are they when their public-sized opinions are paid for? Exactly. No company is great without great drivers. We make the industry run, says Big Eddie. That's true. Everyone recruits for the company they're with, then they move on. What is the driver who went there based on their recommendation thinking now? They based a carrier decision on these guys. You know, somebody asked me, dude, you've probably gotten a bunch of referral bonuses, right? I said, no, I've had 2. Just 2. Because the idea of my videos is not for referral. If you want to come over to Snyder and use me as a referral, cool. And I will help you out when you come over here. However, that is not why I do this. I do this because I want people to come to the industry with a little bit more knowledge. And if you want to be an owner-operator, you know, Snyder's a good place to start. I've said it. Jeffrey said it. A lot of other people have said it. Jeff says, are you not supported by Like Trucking on the Road Pro cooking videos? Yep, guilty as charged. And see, in Jeffrey, next month, I'll do a video talk about how crappy Like Trucking is, and you know, because I didn't get a new set of pans. That's how sponsorships work, right? So actually, I think I'm down to about 5 or 10 pans. Jeffrey said, or Kraken Wise says, Jeffrey, that's great as long as you're not being paid to promote it. That's the difference. I like Trucking Pro as well, and support is excellent. I don't know if Jeff's getting paid to promote Trucking Pro or not, but you know, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with endorsements. It's just kind of a weird line. Like, what if someone came along with a better program? Would Jeffrey jump ship and promote that program? So, this is distracting me. I gotta put this on pause. But then, okay, so let's say that happens, right? But then Jeffrey goes, oh, don't use Trucking Pro. It's horrible. That's the part that would be bothersome. But I don't think Jeff would do that. Big Rich says, I have my own spreadsheet till I get the software. As long as you have something. You know, and Jeffrey said that. Jeffrey has said that in his videos. If you don't get Trucking Pro, at least have something. At least have a spreadsheet. So it's not like he's ever said, oh, Trucking Pro or nothing. You know, he's never said that. And that's what some of these promoters are doing with their products. You know, think about all the football players sitting there, you know, endorsing Subway. There ain't nobody with 1% body fat sitting there saying that they go to Subway for their meals. So, I wasn't saying he is. I'm just saying promotion because it's a great product. It's far more reliable than someone just getting paid to promote. Consumer Reports says no advertisements for that reason. Right. Yeah, I didn't think you were accusing Jeff of anything. And I hope Jeff wasn't either. But it's just interesting, especially with the company stuff. Like Like there's a YouTuber that has been a recruiter for several companies. And the problem with that is you can't go to a company for a month and say, oh, this is the greatest company ever. You know, look what happened with Jed Pirate. You know, he went to CalArc and he was all like, oh, this is the greatest company in the world. You know, and then a month later he's like leaving. So, and that's the thing. Jeffrey Like says my listeners get a discount. So his endorsement is benefiting the person, the consumer. So, you know, and that's what the trucking industry is all about. Think about if you went to the truck show in Dallas, that's all it was, you know, a bunch of YouTubers trying to get endorsements for this product or that product. And, you know, guitar players are the same way. Remember, I'm in the music world too, and Yukon could probably attest to this as well. But if your band gets big enough, guess what? You don't want to pay for guitars anymore. You want them to be given to you. And you sit there and say, hey, I'll endorse your product if you pay me enough and if you give me free stuff. I knew a guy that had a music store in Branson, Missouri, you know, the second country music capital in the world. And he went out of business. Why? Because everybody there wanted free stuff and he could not make any money. So there's a fine line, and you open yourself up to a lot of criticism if you endorse products. So I have my cents per mile figured out based on the expenses that I have knowledge of now. Truck insurance, G Suite, DAT maintenance, fuel estimate, new truck fund. I'm sure I'm missing tons of other stuff. That'll come to you. It will. Just keep track of everything. I unsubscribe to all the BS on YouTube, so no Ike, Will, little guy done with all the stupid crap, says Groundhog. That's why I like Jeff's content. He doesn't BS about his content he puts out to help drivers. Exactly, Anthony. When I first heard about Jeffrey Like, I'll tell you a little story about Jeffrey Like. Jeffrey's like, oh boy, here we go. When I was at Landstar struggling, there was a Landstar driver, Big Rob. He's Big Tex Trucking. He's not in here right now, but he told me, he goes, man, I'm thinking about going over to Schneider. You know, screw all this Landstar crap. He was a Landstar driver there too. And so he started watching Jeffrey Like's videos. I knew the existence of Jeffrey Like, but someone had told me that he was a recruiter, not a driver. So I didn't give him any second glances or anything. So a month later, Rob calls me. He goes, man, Jeff really wants you to call him, dude. He was at Landstar at one time. He's a driver at Schneider. I'm like, oh, really? Huh. So I started watching his videos. And then every now and then, Jeff would mention me in his videos. Jeff's been mentioning his videos for a couple of years now. And so I called him up. Finally exchanged numbers. I called him up after he reached out to me several times to help me out. And he knew I was leery about the whole recruiting thing. He knew I was kind of like, I don't know, are you just saying that for the referral bonus, or are you truly wanting to help me? And that was that's the way I think. You know, if you tell me a company is the greatest thing ever, you know, I'm going to be suspicious to that, because all these companies have the same downfalls as anybody else. And so the first thing I asked Jeffrey was, what are the things you hated about Schneider? And he told me. He was honest. And then, you know, and then he proceeded to say, look, if I'm misrepresenting Schneider, I could possibly lose my job. And then I realized he was really actually trying to help me. But see, that kind of suspicion is come about because of all the other recruiters out there. You know, how many YouTubers have you come across say, oh, this is the greatest company, then a month later they're at some other place going, oh, this is the greatest company. You know, that happens all the time. By the way, I got some Caribou coffee. I put it in my mug. It is awesome, and it's black. So, crack-wise, it's almost as though drivers are busier trying to make money on YouTube rather than figure out how to make more as a driver. You know, the chosen profession. Exactly. And that's why I challenged all these Travel Loco guys. You know, okay, you're successful. Show us how you're being successful. Show us how to make the money at Travel Loco. Show us how you're doing that. You can throw up $8,000 and $9,000 weeks all you want, but tell us how you do it. Tell us how it works over there. Tell us how the system works. Tell us what you do with your dispatcher. Tell us what you do on book and loads. You know, Yukon did a thing about the load board. You know, he went to DAT and showed you how he used the load board, and so far he's the only one that stepped up to that request. And when you go to these guys' live feeds, what do they ask? Oh, hey, does Travel Loco allow this? Does Travel Loco allow that? How do you look for your loads? How do you negotiate rates? And they don't answer these questions. They don't. Meanwhile, Jeffrey's sitting there with his whiteboard out telling you how he does everything. How to be successful. You can't sit there and tell me that Company A is the best company to go to when you can't tell me how to be successful at that company. That's like if I said, hey, come to Schneider. They're the greatest owner-operator company out there. And then when you come over here, I don't tell you how, like, I never stay in my videos, you know, how to run the program or anything. Jeff did that. Big Rich says, I tried that Doc 401. I wasn't impressed. Maybe I was missing something. You know, I've got a free shirt. I've never downloaded the app. Didn't stay 10 years if it wasn't a good company to make consistent money year after year, says Jeff. Still in the website and training videos, LOL. No money is being paid to me. And that is true. He endorses Schneider because he knows that it's a good start for an owner-operator. And he would know. He's been an owner-operator for what, 25 years now there, Jeff? Anthony says some YouTubers go where the referral bonuses are high and then promote it till it's used up and then move on. That is true. This YouTube thing is a double-edged sword in and of itself. I have a person that does not like me now because he thought I abused the referral system. In other words, he thought that I didn't help him enough after I got his referral bonus money. And that's not true. I tried to help this guy, and then he went against me, and then now he doesn't call me. So, and then now he's accusing me of getting other people against him. And I'm not vindictive like that. I don't sit there and tell people who they should be friends or friends not to be friends with. So, but I get that because I'm a YouTuber. Oh, you know, Steve's just doing this for referral money. You know, no, that's not why I do this. You know how much referral money you get at Landstar if you get a new driver over there? $200. And not one time did I ever ask for a referral. And I had 2 drivers give me a referral bonus. And how I found out was the agent that they used said, hey, something about YouTube or something, and someone said they want to use you as a referral. I'm like, cool. So, and I appreciate that, but that's never been my motivation. Kraken Wise says, yeah, I remember Jeff telling people how to work their system to maximize profit potential. He's always done that. Thoughts on drivers that keep changing companies. Do you think that it's a 50-50 fault, companies and drivers' fault, or just a naive expectation of drivers to actually expect companies to live up to advertising? Frank Robro asked that question. I think that it's more the driver's fault than the company. As far as percentage, I don't know. It's hard to say. 50-50 would be a good number. How many of you know a driver that's been out here for like, say, 10 years and has worked for like 8 different companies? Is that person got a lot of bad luck? Is he just choosing the bad companies? Or is it the driver that can't seem to get it right? That is a huge part. I remember when I was at Transland, I was talking to this driver, and he was talking about how the safety person at Transland didn't know what she was talking about. Griping this, like he's suddenly an expert at the regulations. And what it was he was having trouble with the ELD that they had. He had never used them before, and he was having a lot of issues with it. And then, so I said, well, you know, you got RBX right down the road. Nah, they don't put APUs on their trucks. Oh, well, you got IWX. They're in Springfield. Oh, I won't do reefer. Okay, well, you got what was it? CIT there in Springfield. Oh, well, I don't drive Peterbilt's. It's just like there was always something. So finally, I said, dude, you know, you should just give up. Either stop driving or become an owner operator if no one will make you happy. Oh no, that's a lot of work. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know, that's a lot of risk. I'm like, well, yeah. You don't hate trucking companies, you hate trucking. That's the biggest thing. Most of these people that have done job hopping, I think part of the problem is they just don't like trucking. And you can give the driver the perfect truck, the perfect dedicated job, you know, running the same runs, making great money, and they'll still find a reason to gripe. Those are the people that are also a problem in the industry because they're never happy. You know, does Schneider have issues? Yeah. Did Landstar have issues? Yeah. Some of my issues at Landstar were based around the company, and some of the issues I had at Landstar were me. But see, then you got companies like Landstar and Schneider say, well, if you fail over here as an owner operator, well, it's all on you. It's all your fault. Well, in a way, they're right, but in a way that, well, there's other things that can be done to make it better. Like, I think that, you know, Schneider could do a little bit better on educating on how to use the low board. Landstar, they have what they call a cabs class, and after 180 days of you screwing up and doing things wrong, if you make it that far, then they give you this class, say, hey, this is how you run the program. Schneider needs something like that, you know. But I think that a large part of the turnover rate is people that just like okay, Dread Pirate Trucker. Let's look at him. Let's look at Mr. I have 5,000 subscribers. He was at Swift, did a year and a half, and then he went over to CalArc. And what did he say? CalArc was the greatest company, but the littlest thing set him off. Like they didn't have Easy Pass, that set him off. They didn't have this, that set him off. You know, he was like loving the fact that they were a smaller company, and then after the end of the time at CalArc, he said that them being a small company limited them. And then he went to Averett, and look how that turned out. Now I have no idea where he's at. I have no idea what he's doing because I stopped following at that point. I could watch the train wreck no longer. I'm sure he's a nice guy, and he definitely knows how to use the YouTube system. He definitely knows how to title his videos. He definitely knows how to troll his audience, as someone said. Who was it that said that? Lafayette, Yukon, yeah. Does the Swift pen work? Yeah, it works. It works for very little money, though. Jeffrey Like says it's the driver's fault for not doing their homework on choosing a company. You got to do your homework. You can't trust the recruiters. Do you think that Jeffrey Like was the only Schneider driver I talked to? No. Why am I on Periscope? Because I knew a bunch of Schneider guys on there, and I saw how the in and outs of how they dealt with everything. And by the time I came over here, I was ready. I talked to several ICs that didn't even know Jeffrey Like exists. And they told me the same thing. When you go to a mega carrier and like 20 people tell you the same thing, then it's probably true, good or bad. And there's not one thing that Jeff told me that wasn't true. There's not one thing that Jeff said that made me go, well, that's not right. Well, that was crap. That was BS. However, I have had come across some of these ICs that are complainers, that get mad when their normal loads aren't there, talk about how the program's gone downhill and that kind of thing. And seeing perspective is reality, people. You have to, if you see everything as negative, it's going to be negative. You know, why does this company have such a bad rep, this company here? Because our perception is there because of how they're doing business. Lafayette, is that a question? Has the program gone downhill? The program's the same. I could show you the money from the last 2 years that I've been here, and it's the same. Just like that customer that we lost in Springfield, guess what? We'll gain something else. It just changes it up a little bit for me. It just gives me a little bit more deadhead. There are cases of companies going downhill, and I won't name names. You know, you talk to, Landstar, a lot of those guys say that the company's gone downhill, and in a lot of ways it did because they went public. And there are a lot of changes that have been happening here that, we're all kind of cautious about because of them going public. So that does happen. But the problems that most of the drivers are seeing here, they're just, here's the thing. If the Travel Loco has started like this movement with Schneider drivers, everybody's bragging about the spot market rate. So suddenly our rates aren't good enough anymore. And a lot of rates have gone down on a few things, but a lot of rates have gone up. But I've talked to 3 ICs that their average rate per mile is higher than mine. But I could sit here and say, well, I'm not making any money at Schneider, but I am. Is it where I want to be? No, but there's room for improvement. Yes, and I'm trying for that. But as far as the program itself, it's not any different than it was 2 years ago. There's still freight. There's still trailers. The trailer pool has gotten better. We're finally starting to get rid of all these 500 series trailers. But we still have our problem shippers. We still have our problem areas. We still have the problem, with certain trailer pools. So Jeff says, one thing I can say is I will keep in contact, help the driver out years after meeting them. That's why I'm signing on with the Lord of Snore Transportation. Big Ray says, CFI went downhill after XPO bought them. Right. And now they're trying to get back to their old glory days. CFI, companies do go downhill, but a lot of that is on the higher level. And as far as the actual Schneider IC program, I haven't seen any major changes. Now, the new contract comes out, we'll see. There's somebody that contacted me on Facebook. Sorry, I forget your name right now. But he's really being cautious about becoming an owner-operator here at Schneider. And I told him just kind of sit and wait. Save up money and just be patient. That's the thing. If you want to become an owner-operator, you got to show a certain amount of patience, no matter who you go to. Because you're going to have to put in a lot of footwork. It's going to take a lot of dedication. And if you're not willing to put that dedication in, then don't become an owner-operator. That's plain and simple. It takes a certain amount of dedication, a certain amount of sacrifice. Yeah, I've got the freedom to go home whenever I want. But see, the more times I go home, the more money I lose out on. So the idea is to maximize the time I'm out here, which I'm not very good at that, to be honest with you. But that's me, that's not Snyder. So that's the thing, guys. I'll tell you when I'm a screw up. I'm a screw up. Celadon is on the radar again, says Anthony. They're now being investigated by the SEC again. There are bad companies out there, people. I'm not saying Celadon is one of them, but again, it goes, if 20 people say the same thing, then it's probably close to, where there's smoke, there's fire. It's kind of the approach I use. Interstate is still around, and though Heartland runs things. Yeah, but see, I think that they did away with that Freedom Board that they had. They had a board very similar to ours for their lease operators, and now that's gone by the wayside. Yukon says when a company goes public, it usually means their credit rating is crap. A public offering to investors gives the ability to secure operating capital. That is correct. And guys, I know about companies going under. I've been there. I've seen it. Every company I almost worked for, but outside of trucking, not trucking, but outside of trucking, whether it be a small mom and pop business or a big corporation, has gone under. It's just the way the world works now. Like we see the brand Kraft. Kraft is not the same Kraft that it was 20 years ago. They're owned by completely different people. A lot of these trucking companies are not owned by the people that started them. Or, the kids run it, and the kids didn't have to do all the sacrifice and blood, sweat, and tears, so they don't get it. That's kind of what happened at a company I used to drive for. That I drove for. I'm good with English. So, Frank Road Pro, question mark. What are you questioning, Frank? So yeah, these are the thoughts that are on my mind. Social media, Anthony says social media plays a role now, and that's a double-edged. Companies get their name out there, but angry people leave negative comments and drives people off. Exactly. I think that's what's happening with Traveloka. There's a lot of Schneider guys in these Schneider Facebook pages that think that Traveloka is crap simply because of how the YouTube thing has been handled. And I'm not taking sides at all because I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't care. I know let's look at it this way. I know drivers that are doing well at Traveloka. So, and they're not getting their settlements, ripped off. I know guys at Landstar that are getting rate adjustments all the time. So, I talked to Kevin and Ollie on occasion. I talked to Big Rob on occasion, and they're both doing well at Traveloka. But yet, people are expecting them to go under here in about a year. So, but yeah, why is that? Why is Traveloka even on our minds? Because of social media. You got to give Eddie the boss credit. He got his name out there. He did exactly what he wanted to do. However, there's a negative effect to that too, with all the inner fighting that's going on, with all the rumors and the accusations. And why? Because these public people are in the public eye and people are watching them. And so when you're in the public eye, people are gonna hold you to your word. So I'm waiting for Like Trucking IPO. Jeff need inside information. That would be illegal, Eric Vaquero. Frank, very true on perception. You can work for a good, strong company with good reviews on Glassdoor.com, but if you feel your perception Don't your perception will make you think negatively of the company? Yes. I think what you're trying to get that with that mixed up sentence that I had trouble reading, Frank, is that perception is reality. I know people like, okay, so what is everybody's opinions of Prime? Hey Thor, what's up? What's everybody's opinions of Prime? Is it a good opinion or a bad opinion? And why is that? I know people that are doing very well at Prime. I know people that are very happy at Prime. And I know people that would burn Prime down if they had a match. What is the difference there? Is it reality? Is it the driver? Is it the company? Is it how things went down for that particular person? That's the reality. Big Riz says all it did was make their name known. They were based out of California, so that turned me off right away. Haha. Prime seems like a decent company. Brother and brother-in-law work there, says Big Rich. Yukon says Traveloco's been around a lot longer than you think. The model works because it's all on you. I've expressed that to Eddie. The current social outlook is unfavorable towards the company. Right, Yukon. If I was in Eddie's shoes, I would start like a not necessarily damage control, but like just, you know, I noticed that I've told Eric this too, is that they need a positive person to put positive videos about how their program works. Why can't they do that? Is that what they wanted Matt and Will to do? And it just was never done? Is that what they wanted Coach to do? You know? And I know that if I owned a trucking company, like let's say, you know, I sign on with Jeffrey Light, right? Let's say that happens. And all of a sudden I start putting videos about all these negative things, not about like trucking, but about other aspects of my life. And that people start attacking me and all this stuff services. Do you think Jeff's going to keep me on? Do you think Jeff's going to see it as a liability to his company? And I don't know why Eddie doesn't do that. You know, I've never met Eddie. And you know, Outcast says, Yukon, you're going down. What's up, Big Rich? Says Outcast. Yukon, I've told Eddie that he... Yeah, okay, I've already read that. Oh, wait, no, wait. I've told Eddie that he should do his own YouTube videos and cancel all social contracts. That way Will acts on YouTube. He will not be working for me. The way Will acts on YouTube, he would not be working for me. Why doesn't Eddie do that, Yukon? You know, Big Yeti, Kevin and Ollie, maybe that's something that you guys can step up on. You guys are doing well at Traveloco. 404 Trucker, he's there. Not 404 Dave, but the ex-Schneider guy, 404 Crazy Trucker. He's over at Traveloco. And who else? Anthony, he's there. Big Tex Trucking, he's there. Why can't one of these guys step up and fill that void that Eddie needs, you know? I know what we all need to do. What's that, Thor? With social media, you're absolutely right, Yukon. Only to counter negative publicity is to put out positive publicity. Well, it goes to what I was saying yesterday. Whatever we're doing on YouTube is getting immortalized. And I'm not criticizing any of these YouTubers on how they run their YouTube channel. They can do whatever they want. But there are consequences to actions, and they're immortalized on video. And if you were to suddenly go away, how is this, for example, here's a non-trucking related thing, but it's kind of related. If any of you know who Gigi Allen is, does anybody know who Gigi Allen is? Gigi Allen was a punk rock singer that gave absolutely no cares about anything or anybody, to the point that he would punch, bite, and defecate on fans at shows. Okay? And all of that's immortalized. That's his legacy. He's dead now. He's dead. But that's his legacy. So anything that you put on the internet, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, it's out there forever. And that's not how I want my kids to remember me. I don't want my family's personal, if I have an issue with my wife, if I have an issue with one of my kids, I'm not putting that out there on YouTube. That'd be crazy. And nor would I want other people to do that. So I almost deleted my channel because someone made a reference to a person that, a friend of mine that was killed in a car accident. He said some pretty rude stuff. And I almost deleted my channel. But then I thought, you know what? I put myself out there. And as long as I'm not going after, like for example, if I go after a certain YouTuber, then it starts this war. And like I said, all the YouTubers I watch, when they're putting out quality content, man, I like watching it. I like all these people. I've said it before. I like all these people when they're doing vlogs. But all the squabbling and stuff, that's a different story. That's a different story. And while sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's interesting, and there are popcorn moments, at the same time, I would not want that much negativity in my life. If I'm making videos and I got more thumbs down than thumbs up, and I've got more haters commenting than more people that are supporting me, that would bother me. That would bother me. See, and look how much, just the energy of these channels, look how the amount of negative energy it creates. I'm reading in these comments, there's people arguing here. Big Rich says deleted Stretch Nuts comments. Thor, just dance. Okay, all I want us to do is dance. What about Will? We just want to dance. Thor says, screw Gigi Allen. Yep, I agree. I've never understood the infatuation with that dude. Obviously, Stretch Nut said something about Will. And I missed it. Nope, just what I see, and that's a meth mouth. James Best says 34.75. What's that mean? I totally read that wrong. What did I read wrong? Just dance, okay, all I want to do is dance. What about Will? No, fuck Will, we just want to dance. Want a to dance. In the end, who cares? In the end, these YouTubers with the bigger subscribers, who cares? In the end, watch what you want to watch. I don't care if Will's cheating on his wife or not. I don't care if Matt's left the industry or not. I don't care what money was exchanged between who, and who did this and who did that. You know, I watch them because they're entertaining to me, but I do not get emotionally involved in any party on either side at all. Now, I've come to bat and defended Jeffrey on a few things when the whole don't criticize Travel Loco truckers coach, you know, thing that he somehow got sucked into. I defended him there, and guess what? There was a bunch of hatred towards me because I associate with Jeff, and it's just like, if I show up in Will's feed and say, hey, then I got a bunch of Will haters that say, oh, you're siding with Will. And if I do the same thing on Ike's channel, hey, Ike, what's up? Oh, you're a friend of Ike Stevens. Oh, you know, it's like, who cares? I don't have any emotional investment in any of these guys. None of them. There's not a YouTuber out there, with the exception of a couple, that you know, I don't get emotionally attached to. Two of them are friends, Jeff and Pale Rider. But see, if you criticize them, guess what? They're big boys. They know how to defend themselves. But see, they're not putting themselves out there to be hated. It's not like Pale Rider and Jeff are creating these controversies and talking about hot topics and rumors are flying around these guys. No, it's not. And when you put negative energy out there, that's what's going to happen. And unfortunately, that's where YouTube truckers have lost their way. Good morning, Salty. Jeffrey likes a good example. His family watched him and he wants to make sure it's clean. You're right. That's why I don't try not to say swear words, but Thor said I read something wrong, so I was just reading it correctly. Just saw a commercial for Cinnamon Frosted Flakes. The world is going... Yukon, you want to talk about advertisements? I heard an advertisement yesterday for... You can buy a device. It's like one of those Fitbit things for your dog. Like you can monitor your dog's physical activity level. That, my friends, is what the world has come to. In the words of the late David Bowie, just dance. Right. Yukon said they are awful and I like cinnamon. Now, Thor, let's talk about you for a second. You made some good points about how we're all brothers. You did this 3-hour live feed, which, you know, I think it's a world record. You talk about how real brothers don't sit on the fence. You talk about fence sitters. And at first I was like, I wonder if I fall into that category. No, not really, because you said, you know, people will call each other out. And I've called all these people out. I told them to stop their negative bull crap. But I still take no sides. Greybeck says, I sub from the drama stuff. I don't have time to follow. Right. I feel a lot of... RoPro says, I feel a lot of truck... Frank says, I feel a lot of the trucker YouTube with only drama and new fight with someone new every week. Have to watch too much Ice Road Truckers and you see himself as Discovery Channel show. That is true. I got to hang out with Eskimo Sean. Do you guys remember who Eskimo Sean is? If you're a YouTuber, you should know who Eskimo Sean is. Well, guess what? He was an Ice Road Trucker. Not the TV show, but in real life. I got to hang out with him, and he told me all about what goes on with that TV show, because he's friends with people that are on the show. And a lot of that stuff is inflated, and you know, there's a rumor, there's a theory going out that all the squabbling we see on YouTube is all premeditated. How about them apples? What if that's true? What if all the accusations aren't true? They're just out there to give people, you know, views. Do you think that's true? But that rumor's out there. There's a rumor out there that a lot of these bigger YouTuber guys, they get together, they huddle, and they say, all right, let's start this scenario. Kind of like wrestling, right? Big Rich says, I don't trust the subscriber count. There's a guy who has about 20K and he has like less than 5 years and can't seem to maintain. Fennell says, what drama? Why is this news to me? Right, Fennell, you obviously don't follow certain people. Gray Big is another one. Sub to him. He's not into the, he does trucking vlogs. Can you imagine that? You're not, brother, says Thor. If you were, I wouldn't be around. I said it last night. I've given Will what he needs to make his vid. Yukon Cornelius wants to jam with Gray Big. Yep. Eskimo Shaw made great videos. Yes, he did. Trucker Steve. Trucker Steve is one of the original guys, right? And guess what? He's a love it or hate him kind of guy. The 2 times I met him, he was awesome to me. His girlfriend's real cool too. However, you go to his videos, he has just as many haters as he has people that like him. So it's not like what Will and Matt and Ike are doing is anything new. Because Steve had some videos that made you go, what are you doing that for? And then he has some videos that are like, dude, you're the king. Tex didn't buy into a lot of the stuff that the others did. And guess what? His sub count isn't as high as it should be. If there's anybody out there that deserves 30,000 subscribers, it's Tex Crowley. Indiana Jack and Trucker Josh do vlogs, no advice, no drama. They have near 200,000 between the 2 of them. That's good. It means the system can work. Greg Big says, I just show a little bit of my day. If people watch, great. If they don't, that's fine too. Trump 2020, Snorler 2024. No. Like I said, I have nothing against any of these YouTubers at all. And I watch all their channels. I really do. Some videos I watch, some I don't. And you know what they all have in common? Do you know the worst? I'll reveal this to you guys right now, okay? I'm going to reveal the worst aspect of all these guys' videos. Okay? Every single one of them. Here it is. You guys ready? Now, this is the part where somebody might go, give me a thumbs up and I'll tell you. I ain't going to do that. Every single one of them has intros and outros that are way louder than they're talking. That's their problem. That's the problem with every single YouTuber, myself included. Vaping? No, they don't all vape. Salty says, I think Will and Matt are putting an act. I do believe they hang out together. They have fooled their sponsors, that's for sure. Thor says, Yukon, you're badass. Steve Ace is a scumbag. Frank says, one thinks it's true. It seems that after every fight, subscriber numbers grow, so I'm picking a fight with you, Steve. Pale Rider and I have joked about that. We talked about, we'll start, that's why, if you guys notice, I started doing live videos, kind of trolling Pale Rider. That was kind of a joke on all that kind of stuff. Pale Rider knows I don't have one vindictive bone in my body towards him. Yukon says, hit me up on Facebook. We'll break the internet with a smoke and jam session. So, Pale Rider into it's the best ads to suspense. Pale Rider says, sure. Obviously understood what you were saying. Thor says, give it time. YouTubers are meant to entertain you, but they will go retard eventually. You know, let's talk about the NFL thing, right? The whole, here's an aspect of NFL players that a lot of people can't seem to grasp. They're entertainers. They are paid entertainers. And if they don't do their jobs, people stop being entertained. What happens? Business goes down. Simple, simple, simple. And if you watch all these channels for entertainment, kudos to you. But I'm not going to do a video calling somebody out. I'm not going to do a video talking about, you know, like, there's a certain amount of obsession, like Nesbitt. If you watch his channel, it's almost like he's obsessed in what Will does. And you know, if that floats his boat, cool. I get it. But at the same time, it's like, you've got the power of the internet. You've got the power of YouTube before you. What are you going to do with it? Well, I'm going to call Will a jackass. That's what I'm going to do. It's like, why? I get it. If, you know, see, that's the thing. We all make mistakes. We all don't lead perfect lives. So why should it be expected that any of these guys, unless they say that they lead perfect lives, you know? Cool Breeze, what am I drinking? I'm drinking Caribou coffee. Here's the cup. See if my Swift pen will write on it. Uh-oh. It's not working. Look at that. This pen is worthless now. Oh, there it goes. There, it wrote. What is my ferret team? I don't have a ferret team. Don't know if you've heard of Red Viking Trucker. He's a new YouTuber, but his channel is awesome. I have watched Red Viking. They're green. I've got really no opinion of the guy. His videos weren't interesting to me, so I don't watch. But I see nothing wrong with his comment. I know Jeff likes him a lot. I know that a lot of guys like his content because he helps the new drivers, which is cool. But that's it. News media, Frank says, news media nowadays is like old cartoons with the bouncing ball. They point at what you're supposed to be focused on as if we're too stupid to do research ourselves. Yes. What do you think Facebook is? Facebook tells you what you need to be angry about. Facebook tells you, the news, the media, they tell you what to be afraid of. They tell you what to be happy about. They tell you what to be sad about. Now, I like these memes that are put out with Forrest Gump, and suddenly everybody was mad at statues. You know, it's like, where did this come from? You know, do you know that 2 years ago we were worried about the Ebola virus, and a year ago we were worried about that shrunken head thing virus, and what was that before? Bird flu. We're being told what to be afraid of. And why do we not hear about Ebola now? Why do we not hear about bird flu now? YouTube's the same way. If you type in World Trade Center, guess what? And you start watching those videos, guess what's going to come up in your suggested feed? Help me just saying that. Now stuff's going to watch. You know, check this out. My wife was at a friend's house, or no, it's at a store, and they were talking about Tom Petty, right? You know, this is shortly after he died. Well, guess what started popping up in her YouTube suggestions? Tom Petty. She wasn't watching Tom Petty videos. The phone heard her talk about Tom Petty. And that's the thing, you guys. Your phone is listening to you. I don't care if you got an iPhone or an Android. If you have an Android, put on the thing that where Google is and say, okay, Google, what happens? You didn't have to push a button. It's listening for you to say the words, okay, Google. If you watch a bunch of like dash cam crash Russian videos or whatever, guess what comes up in your feed? If you watch a bunch of kitten videos, guess what comes up in your feed? That's how Facebook works. That's how YouTube works. So the phones are listening. I've been on here so long, I've got people I don't recognize and trolls and all that stuff. Sorry, I'm reading the comments, guys. Not reading them out loud. The Outcast watch videos. So, guys, I'm going to end the feed here, but that's what this video is about. It was originally about the problems in the industry, have always been the problems in the industry. Go look and watch those old truck videos. Go look at all those old videos, and then you'll see that we are complaining about the same things, the same problems. You know, my father-in-law, he had a story where he was just driving down this country road, and he drove for roadway, right? And all of a sudden, this car came up on him and shot his steer tires out. Just shot at him. People have hated truck drivers since the beginning. Something like that happens now, it would be all over the news, it'd be all over Facebook, it'd be all over YouTube. There'd be video of it. There'd be a dash cam video of it. And it would inflate to this big, huge thing. But for my father-in-law, you know what it was? It was just a bad day on a country road. He was glad he didn't get hurt. The internet culture is our worst enemy. Would you care what Matt and Will and Ike were doing if there was no YouTube? Would everybody be obsessed in Matt's extracurricular activities if he wasn't on YouTube? That's the social media environment, internet environment that we live in today. Would you be watching me talk for an hour and a half? Would I be talking to you for an hour and a half about absolutely nothing? Frank says RVT is good advice for rookies in the industry. He's a man with a business mind. Now is charging new drivers a consultation fee. Goes to show how some are lazy to research, want quick answers only. Dan says, good to see you this morning. Thank you. Look at the witchcraft baby sacrifices in Africa and worldwide. They're getting terrified of the return of Christ, and Christ honor conquer king. Let's see who this dude is. No content. I'm not giving that guy any more power. Hey Ken, what's up? You guys with wrenches are slacking. That should have been taken out. That happened to me in PA about 15 years ago. Pulled in, had 3 or 4 bullets in my trailer door. Anthony asked, did you see the video of the truck driver getting shot at Mexico that went viral? No, I didn't know there was video. I knew there was a picture. But yeah, the guy was doing the video himself. It was like a point of view, first person. Frank says we need to unite, but we can't even agree how to slide tandems. That's the problem with doing advice videos. You're doing it wrong, no matter what you do. Do I live in a car? No, I don't live in a car. Air Vaquero, are you on a 34 reset? No, I need to get going. I'm just not motivated. The wife and kids are sleeping at home. What time is it? Oh, it's 11 o'clock. They're probably awake now. I didn't know this video was going to go an hour and a half. I had a lot on my mind, though. And, I only got to drive an hour. I'm not technically going home. I'll have my wife and kids pick me up. But if I'm there too early, I can't park the truck where I need to park it. So... $150 for my wrench. Everyone has their own way of doing things, says Gray Big. Yep. Super truckers will always disagree with you. LOL, looks like I'm late. Yeah, Cool Breeze. People will disagree with me simply because I drive or I'm signed on to a mega carrier. And, you know, will I always be signed on to a mega carrier? No. But we all have to do things in steps and wait for the right opportunities to arise. So, guys, I'm going to end this video now. We're starting to get trolls. And that means I've been on too long. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was kind of a reality check. You know, if you're Will, Ike, or Matt, don't take offense to anything I've said, because I have said nothing that you guys already know. I have nothing against any of you guys. You know why? Because you're entertainers, and I'm subscribed to you for a reason. The synagogue of Satan is real. Let's read that out loud, shall we? The synagogue of Satan is real. See, 20 years ago, that guy wouldn't have internet access. He would just be that crazy guy on the corner. I had a super truck call me a steering wheel holder, says Anthony. Told him, of course, I didn't want to wreck. Yeah, a steering wheel holder, that's supposed to be offensive. It's like, unless, you know, I won't even get into that. I won't even get into that. Yukon, is that a band? Thanks, Keith. I've done a horrible job of booking myself this week. And hopefully I'll get something coming out of where I'm going. I'm really horrible about making the best use of my time. A lot of that's, well, it's all on me, I guess. Snyder needs a drop lot and some more customers in this area. So, yeah, everybody sees the Jason mask. Dude, I did a live feed with the Jason mask. I did a live feed with Steve Berger with the Jason mask. Oh. Alright, guys, I'm out of here. Battery's dying. It's time to go. Enjoy your Sunday. Be safe. Be good to each other. And who cares? Who cares? We're all gonna die anyways. How do you want to immortalize yourself? See ya.